Well, we're off after a beautiful night in Belcarra Bay with friends Tom and Isabel on their boat Kitty Hawk. That's the boat we've been racing on the last 5 years. And we took on some crew yesterday that are going to help us get to San Francisco. So I'll just get them to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Rob. I've been sailing since I was in my mid-20s. I've been sailing with Greg and Lori with my wife Denise for over 20 years, or almost 20 years actually. And yeah, we just know each other really well, and been to lots of cool anchorages and done some circumnavigations to Vancouver Island, and really looking forward to this trip to San Francisco.
Hi, I'm Denise. I'm going as far as Victoria, and I'm just so happy to be on board and enjoy this, even just this very short version of the cruise, and join up later in San Francisco.
No, don't say goodbye. Is it too late?
We're hard on the wind, sailing westbound out of English Bay. I think we've just done our last tack for the day. We had to put in a couple. And the wind's building as we head out to the strait. Should be a wonderful sail down to Active Pass.
We've managed to land in Victoria one final time before we head south. One of our favorite summer things to do. Wander around and play tourist, have an iced coffee, go to the tapas bar for dinner, enjoy all the people watching, the street music, the performers. It's just such a fantastic way to end our Canadian stay.
After a very enjoyable afternoon being a tourist, it was time to get to work. We spent all of our second day in Victoria prepping, shopping for last-minute boat bits, stowing loose items, cleaning, running jack lines, and a rig inspection. A rig inspection is a good idea before any major passage, and other than going aloft is no big deal to perform. Our rig is only a year and a half old, so I didn't expect to find anything major. But I did find a few minor items that were not structural issues, but benefited from our attention nonetheless.
The day has come. This is actually happening. We've left Victoria and are already having a cracking sail towards Port Angeles. Bye-bye, Canada.
Port Angeles is not a tourist town. The stop here was strictly business. Customs, food, and phone cards. We had a great sail across from Victoria to Port Angeles in the morning, but we spent quite a while waiting for confirmation when we arrived and checked in with customs, which means we left to go grocery shopping and doing some cell phone stuff pretty late. So that means we're getting back pretty late after an expensive taxi ride. But we're here, we got food, we have cell phones, we have data, and we're in the US. We've got a clearance number and a cruising permit, so things are good. It's 8:20 on August 28th, and we're leaving Port Angeles, bound for California. Right now the plan is to stop in Newport, Oregon, but of course plans change as we get more up-to-date weather information, so we'll see what happens. But if we do land in Newport, it'll be in 2 days from now. And it's looking like it should be a pretty mellow trip with more motoring than we would like, but with some nice sailing in between. It's always blowing west in Juan de Fuca Strait, sometimes strong, sometimes not. We were lucky. The wind stayed light and we had a very boring motor out. Yeah, time to make the turn. So we're going to do a countdown from 5,
4, 3, 2, 1.
There we go. It's Tatoosh Island on the end of Cape Flattery. We're sailing at a course of 206, which is almost due south. Another 25 miles, we can bear off a little bit further. The next stop is Newport, we think, but if the conditions are good, we'll just keep on going. Well, we're settling into our evening routine. Larry just made a wonderful dinner. Rob did the dishes. And I was out here doing watch. We had wonderful weather for the rounding. This looks like a very, very thin fog bank has kind of become our reality. We'll see how the visibility is tonight. But we can still see shore, which is 3 miles away. We just put the mainsail up. We have about 3 knots on the beam. If we get 5 or 6 knots on the beam, we'll shut the engine off and try and sail for a while. It's midnight. I just started my first watch. We're about 50 miles south of Catfish Island, about 15 miles off the shore of Washington State. We've been motoring since 8 o'clock yesterday morning, except for the half hour we managed to sail just south of Catfish Island, which is actually quite a nice sail. The wind's gone behind us. Perhaps in the morning it'll be up high enough that we can put the spinnaker up and shut the engine down and move on under sail power for the next 24 hours. The seas are exceptionally flat. I managed to get some sleep, which was nice. And hopefully Laurie and Rob are able to sleep now while I've got my 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning watch. Well, the sun's just come up on our first night at sea. We're about 30 miles offshore and over halfway down Washington State's coast. Well, it's 3 o'clock on night 2. It's been a fast night. Laurie just got off watch. She saw 24 knots for quite a bit of it. We've had between 20 and 25 knots for the last 6 or 7 hours, and it's quieted down now. It's blowing about 12 or 13. Boat's still moving good. We're doing about 5.5 through the water. But of course you've got the lumpy seas from the 6 or 7 hours of it blowing 20, 25. So we're rolling a little bit more than we would normally in this much wind. We are still off the coast of Oregon. There's another 100 miles to go before we cross the California border. And at some point tomorrow, or today I guess, I think we're going to have to fire up the engine and motor for 24 or 30 hours before we catch northwesterlies again off Cape Mendocino. It's almost sundown on day 3, and everyone's still talking to each other, which is a good thing. Today was mostly a motoring day. We fired up the engine at 11, and I guess probably from 9 to 11 the sailing was pretty desperate, really noisy with the sails slatting, just not enough wind to fill them. But yesterday was fantastic, and we're hoping for a couple more days like that as we get close to San Francisco. Right now the plan is just to go straight. So we are just north of the Oregon-California border right now. We should be off Cape Mendocino sometime, I'm thinking about 24 hours from now, and then it's 160 miles from there into San Francisco. We are thinking of stopping at Drake's Bay, which is just outside the bridge, on Friday night, and then catching the ebb around lunchtime. I'm sorry, the flood around lunchtime to go under the Golden Gate Bridge, which would be very exciting. It's 3:45 on day 4. Just motoring along in very flat seas, expecting it to go back into the northwest later on tonight and provide us with a strong finish down to San Francisco. Strong winds from Cape Mendocino all the way down to the bridge, which is a full 24-hour sail. So we'll see if those materialize, and hopefully they materialize in just the right amount. Not too little and not too much, kind of the Goldilocks amount's what we're looking for. Is it Goldilocks? Yep. I can't remember. Yeah, anyways, you know, that amount, the Little Bears one. So, yeah, I guess the next update will probably be in the thick of it. We're just south of Cape Mendocino, and it's really become unpleasant. The wind is not super strong. It's been between 20 and 30 knots, which is as forecast. But the seas here, even though they're relatively short, are really close together. So the boat's rocking like crazy and things are crashing down below. Extremely difficult to sleep.
Here we are, 30 miles south of Punta Gorda, aptly named because it is very fat. It took us a while to get around it. And after a night of much the same as this, we're still cheerful and looking forward to an anchorage in about 20 hours.
Ride on our last part of the big passage to San Francisco. Things have moderated a little bit, but we're still getting some pretty impressive swells, like that one behind us right now. And I'm really looking forward to arriving at some place and being at anchor and being still.
It's the morning of our 6th day underway. It's 7 o'clock, quarter after 7 in the morning. And we're 25 miles from the Golden Gate Bridge and about 18 miles from the San Francisco bar. And we're going pretty slow because we're trying to hit that one at slack tide turning to flood. So we've got the tide helping to flatten the waves out and getting a little push into the bay.
Won't you come into my garden?
Well, this is an absolutely massive moment for us. We've been planning this for 10 years, and there was lots of times when I was working on the boat, hundreds of hours, wondering why. And then we go at summer, and then I knew why, because summers were amazing. But this was always in the back. One day, we're going to sail down the coast. We're going to go someplace foreign and have a big adventure. And wow, this last 6 days has been a huge adventure, and it's just the beginning. San Francisco Bay!
We're here! We made it!